Hey, what's up guys? Connor and Dirty Upper Lip here from No Responsibilities. Weezer just dropped the Black Album. We reviewed all the singles from it. Let's take a look at the full thing.
Now, as we said, we've already reviewed the 4 lead singles for this album, so if you'd like to see us go more in depth about those, you can see those links in the description. But we will cover every track in this review.
I'm an ugly motherfucker, but I work hella harder and you...
This is your 70s inspired funk track. Very different for Weezer. We've never heard anything like this before. It takes a little while to grow on you, but we both really like it.
It's an extremely catchy song, and overall just enjoyable to listen to.
It's your introduction to the ride that you're going to be going on while listening to this Black Album. That leads into Zombie Bastards.
I'm gonna be honest, I think I was a little too harsh on Zombie Bastards when we first reviewed it, but after listening to this full album and that song in particular a lot more, I think it's growing on me quite a bit.
Yes, it's poppy and a bit basic structurally, but it's just a really enjoyable song, and the melody and the chorus I absolutely love. Lyrics are kind of stupid in my opinion still, that holds true from our original review, but if you look past that in the production, it's an enjoyable song.
Yeah, definitely at the beginning of the song when you first hear the lyrics and just how the song's gonna sound production-wise, it's jarring, but once you get through the whole thing and you hear the choruses, you can understand how it could be a very catchy song.
And you're always gonna be wondering, is the song about Minecraft?
We reviewed Living in LA on our last video. Really didn't enjoy it at all. It's just a f***off track. Poppy, no structural integrity, just a
There's really not much else to say. If you want to hear us talk more about it, check out our last video on it. It's just a piss off of a track.
And let me just specify, when I say poppy, I mean generic pop. There is obviously a lot of good pop, but this song was just super basic.
Now as for High as a Kite. We liked this one a lot. It had a really cinematic feel, it was very chilled out, and once again it just had a great chorus melody. We did say it was very similar to the song Wind in Our Sail off the White Album, but I've now come to realize that this song was actually originally written for the White Album, so there probably is a bit of a coalition simulation there.
Why do I look like I have a bald head? Now on to the tracks that we haven't reviewed. First up is Piece of Crap. I mean Piece of Cake. It's actually a really good... It actually is a really good song. It's not a piece of crap.
Now a very common theme... you'll notice when listening... Why can't I talk when we film? Now something you'll notice when listening to this album is there is a lot of usage of going do do do, la la la, just singing the melody before the song at the very intro. And this is just extremely repetitive, and this is the first song, I think the first song on the album to do this, and it's gonna happen a lot.
That said, we do like the track otherwise. The depressing lyrics on this song really align with the theme of the Black Album. The Black Album. They're talking about doing hard drugs to feel better about life, which do hard drugs to make themselves feel better about a woman who cut them in half like a piece of cake. Now I don't know about you, but that's pretty f***ing depressing.
Now whereas Rivers Cuomo may have dealt with a woman who screwed him over, we're doubting the fact that he was literally cut in half or severed. But that doesn't mean that the song can't be sung. Now I really do think the song is a really nice mix of the piano parts with the guitar and the synth. A couple of the songs on this album sound really jumbled when it comes to all the mixture of the different instruments, but this song they did a really good job arranging it and making it and f***ing doing the song.
This track has nothing too crazy in it. It's pretty chilled out, but that's okay. It's a nice transition into the second half of the album. And sometimes solid composition makes up for it not being too much of a standout song. Next up we got I'm Just Being Honest.
And if I'm being honest, I really like this song. This is probably one of my favorites on the album. I love the almost grunge-esque guitar tone opening, very similar to a song like Lithium by Nirvana, but it's buried in there with this new production style they're going for. So it's a really cool mix of classic rock with this new electronic vibe they're going with on this album.
This is also one of my favorite tracks on this album, and following with the last song, the lyrics are very sad and depressing.
Although this album sounds absolutely nothing like Pinkerton, the one comparison we can make is that they're both really depressing lyrically.
Even though the production on this track is still very clean, they mix well the guitar tones with the other effects to give it an overall sad atmosphere. While I like this track, the one thing that really disappoints me about it is the drums. They're very basic and repetitive, and I just feel like they could have spiced things up a bit more to make the track more interesting.
Now it does go a little bit more downhill with this next track, Too Many Thoughts in My Head. I do like this, but the quality has dipped a little bit, and unfortunately that's a trend that will continue for the rest of this album. I love the use of the wah guitars. It brings it back to the funk theme that you get in the song Can't Knock the Hustle, and just tonally it's very fitting.
The track has a panicked feel from a possible strange time signature, maybe in 6/8, but I totally can't tell.
You do,
You could do, we always do that.
You do, I'm stuck on that word. What I do like a lot about this song is how you get a lot of different vocal styles from Rivers. He sings in a lower register that almost sounds like a harmonic of itself, and then later in the song you get this really cool falsetto. You do hear that a lot from Rivers, but he doesn't really always reach that full-on falsetto factor. Now they do put a filter on the vocals here, which they do on a lot of the album, which I really didn't like. But other than that, this song is really strong in terms of his singing.
Unfortunately, that's about all we have to say about this track. A very common theme on this album, which ends up being my main criticism of it, is that a lot of the songs are very repetitive. You can skip to any part in this track, and it pretty much sounds the same, which is unfortunate because they have a lot of potential with these tracks.
As for the Prince Who Wanted Everything, there's really not much to say about this song other than it's really f***ing bad. If you like this song, you're about to get pissed off. Like the last track, it's literally pretty much the same thing the entire song. It's like one long verse.
At this point, I'm being repetitive as f***, but it's repetitive as f***.
It almost sounds unfinished, like they came up with a verse idea and made that the entire song. It's just boring.
And the next track, Byzantine, has the same problem. It's one long verse and a bridge, just like the previous track.
It's got a really catchy chorus, which is a common theme. You get a lot of great melodies on this album, but it's just the same thing the entire thing, and it's just thrown together.
Like I was starting to say before, there's a lot of good things about these tracks, and you can see that they had really good ideas and intentions when they were creating these, but it just seems like along the way in the creative process they just got lost to this type of production that just draws everything out and makes it really mundane.
Now the album closes up with the song California Snow. The song was originally released before as a soundtrack to a movie, and as far as we can tell, it's really mixed in terms of people's opinions. A lot of people love it and a lot of people absolutely hate it. We unfortunately aren't the biggest fans of it. There are a couple good elements. I do like how creative it is. It's something totally new, just like a couple other songs on this album. I just don't like this new direction.
It's kind of got a cringy opening, like a bad rap song. Rivers says something about bars or there's never been a flow like this, and when I heard him say that, I was just like, come on, really?
Also, I think he's singing about cocaine. It does not snow in California as far as I can tell, so it must be about coke. A lot of drug lyrics on this album. I don't think Rivers Cuomo is actually taking drugs. He's actually a pretty mindful guy. He meditates, he's very smart, so I don't think he's actually doing coke. But it is quite interesting how he is talking about it a lot on this album. Maybe he's a crack addict now, we never know.
So those are the track specifics, but as for the entirety of the album, we have a few thoughts.
One thing I'm happy to see is that there's a lot of piano. I really like the few songs Weezer has had piano on in the past, so it's really cool to see them incorporate a ton more piano stuff into this new album.
The main thing that fucks over a lot of the good basis of this album is the production. It's too clean, and in a lot of places it just really overpowers the actual music.
It has a lot of the repetitive nature that I talked about before, and it just seems like a lot of the tracks on the latter half of this album are just filler. Now this is the issue with Weezer putting out so much music. On one hand, it's really enjoyable to be a Weezer fan and to always have something new. I've been a fan of this band for about 5-6 years, and I've already got to see them release 5 albums. And believe it or not, Rivers Cuomo actually said in an interview that they're already working on 2 more albums and have actually recorded one already. And the problem with that is there's basically no quality control. Nobody can write that many good songs at one time. I think they're basically recording almost everything they write and releasing it. There are some good ones in there, but you're gonna get a lot of filler, and you're gonna get a lot of tracks that would have normally became a B-side or a throwaway track.
If you look at the gap between Hurley and Everything Will Be Alright in the end, it was 4 years. And Everything Alright in the end ended up being a really amazing album.
And also just all these doo-doo-doo-doos at the beginning of every song, it's just lazy.
One really positive thing about the album though is a lot of great melodies. Weezer has always been good at that, and it shows on this album as well. Unfortunately, they just don't use them the best all the time.
So overall, this album is just a really big mixed bag. There's a lot of things on it I do like, and a lot of things on it I really hate. And this is pretty common for me with Weezer albums. Especially when it comes to records like Hurley, Ratitude, Red, Green, Make Believe. There's a couple good songs and a couple totally shit songs. And that's pretty much the case with this album. I'm being a little harsh with the shit thing, but you know, it's just funny to say the S word.
That being said, I think there's something for everyone in this album. If you like Weezer, if you like pop rock or just rock music, there's lots of stuff that you can enjoy on this album, but there's also going to be a lot of things that people won't like. Now, we usually split up our scores, but we're in extreme agreement about this album, so we're going to collectively give it a 60. In terms of where it falls in their total discography, I'd say it's definitely in their bottom half, but it's not at the very bottom. It's a good effort.
Now, if you'd like to see us go more in depth about the 4 singles, you can check the links in the description. And also let us know what you thought of the album in the comments. We're super curious to hear what you guys think.
New video coming out next week. We'll see you next time, guys.